So I wanted to go over the layout of the different boards, parts in the electronics, and then kind of invite questions or comments or whatever. And then I'll dig into each one in more detail as needed. So basically it starts with the two processor boards, which you've got the Arduino Uno and the Mega here. These are wired through both kind of permanent or semi-permanent wiring that I've got to the other boards so far. And then of course I'm using the breadboard for testing and troubleshooting stuff. Here in the top left corner we've got a relay unit. This is a motor control board here. These two here are the primary motor controllers. Each one controls two of the large motors, which two examples are laying right there. This motor control board controls 4 motors, but is intended for smaller motors. Kind of future development options there. The two boards that you see here are power modules. These basically can step up or step down the power. We'll talk about batteries there later, but that's one of the batteries there. And then in the top right corner here we've got a servo controller, which is capable of controlling a whole bunch. I can't quite remember offhand, but I think it's 16 servos or something like that, something crazy. There are some more odds and ends. So this here is one of the proximity sensors, IR based. There's a few that are planned, but this would be the kind of front and center one. This dangling off here is a IR receiver meant for kind of controlling remote controls and that sort of thing, like turning on, turning off TV, for example. This is matched with what's over here, which is the kind of opposite of that. So one is a receiver, one is a transmitter. The receiver is intended for encoding. So, as I was saying, just so I can look at the camera to explain this part, but in regards to the IR transmitter and receiver, the intention there was, for example, to be able to encode the proprietary signal from an existing remote control, like your TV remote, and then be able to program that in once you know what that signal is, and then transmit it back out to control an IR-based device such as a TV. So in theory, for example, you'd be able to turn on or off such devices remotely. Back to the boards. Here dangling off is what's called a shift-out module, which basically gives you additional capacity on one of the Arduinos, and that one is specifically going to be intended to control the signals sent to the relay board, which would then control things like the primary and secondary motor controllers. Down front, you'll see that we have these arms dangling. I suppose I'll talk about the actual construction and that sort of stuff down the road, or whenever you guys start asking about it. But inside here, we've got the kind of these really powerful, high torque, great power rating servos, which will control the actual motor and wheel assembly, which will allow the wheels to turn horizontally. So the wheels will rotate forward and backward, of course, and then being able to turn them would allow us to actually turn like as a car turns on the street, as opposed to having to turn left side versus right side, kind of like a tank would turn. All right, so yeah, that's basically kind of the top-down overview of the layout of the electronics. I thought that would be useful as I want to talk about some specifics that I'm working on now or troubleshooting now. But it helps to get a sense of where things are and what components are already in place. Um, but yeah, at least it gives you a kind of a lay of the land, and then we can drill down into the specifics and go from there.